allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next up we're going to have the swearing in of our new trustee of the board, Nathan Smeltzer. Yeah. You want to go stand by the flag? Actually, over there.
Don't hide behind the screen is all. There we go. The yellow.
Can I have you raise your right hand, please? And repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
of member of the Board of Education
of member of the Board of Education
of Galesburg-Augusta Community Schools
of Galesburg-Augusta Community Schools
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
You're hereby sworn in.
Congratulations. And I'd also like to take a minute this time to thank Krista Simmons. She came on the board in January of 2021. We all know that was a very difficult time. Coming into meetings via Zoom, lots going on, but Krista, I know, was integral and part of the bond. We appreciate you for that and for your time of service, so thank you. Okay, and Laura, can you note board members present and administrators? And then board, you have an agenda in front of you. There are a couple of quick changes to it. On page 2, number 7, reports. A is going to be a superintendent report. And then that will just move everything down. So community input, agenda items only will be B. Primary school celebration will be C. Curriculum and instruction report will be D. Fall count E. Bond update F. And update on new buses will be G. And then under closed session, the number 9, we're going to add where it says attorney-client privilege. I'm going to add to be consistent with 8.1H. And that is all I have, unless anybody has any other changes to the agenda. Okay, could I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Next up, we have the consent agenda. The consent agenda is approval of meeting minutes, the regular board meeting from September 18th, 2023, committee of the whole meeting October 2nd, 2023, and special board meeting on October 9th, 2023. The approval of accounts payable in the amount of $1,356,750.72 for the month of September 2023. The approval of the treasurer's report dated September 30th, 2023, with a balance of $12,273,222.73. And then approval of new hires, transfers, and resignations. Is there anything with that?
So you all know that Nicole Toohey has resigned, and this Friday will be her last day. She is heading back to Minnesota. So lots of tears for all of us. She has done an amazing job. We have hired Audrey Alonza. She is, I think you're going to be nicely encouraged by how quickly she's learning. And I think I sent you all a picture, and if you didn't know who she was when we were laying bricks out at the field to be ready for that Friday night ribbon cutting, that was her first day on the job. So yeah, we're excited to have her on board. And I just want to thank Lindsay too. She's been working on getting us some more permanent subs, so you'll see that that has been added to our list as well. So.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll support. Laura, could you do roll call vote, please?
Overgard,
Yes.
Shoup,
Yes.
Lieberstein,
Yes.
Wilks,
Yes.
Horsey,
Yes.
Smeltzer,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. Motion passes 7-0. Okay, next up is number 7, reports. A superintendent report.
Thank you. I had emailed all of you to let you know that I wanted to speak first thing at the beginning of the board meeting, and you know context. So, being human but not an excuse, I did mess up last week when I was having a meeting with personnel. I got frustrated to the point that I messed up, and I owe my apologies to Mr. Curtis. I thought I just saw him, but as well as the other individuals that were in the room, and also to the board. Even getting frustrated isn't an excuse for doing it, and I want you all to know that my apologies to the board. I will do better.
Thank you. And just an FYI, I don't know if everybody knew to sign up, but if we're coming up right now on community input for agenda items only. So if there's anybody that was signing up, just let us know. So just a reminder, each person gets 3 minutes. This is a public meeting, this is a board meeting held in public, but not a public meeting, so we won't be responding to things here. And just be respectful of the 3-minute time frame that you have when you come up to speak. Thank you. And first up, Harper Shoup. Yeah.
I'll sit here.
That is perfect. Thank you.
Hello, I am Harper Shoup. I am a 6th grader here at Galesburg-Augusta. I like our Rocket football because this year we won 6-0. And next year I'm convinced friends that they should play football, and if we don't, we won't have anyone to play. We might not be able to go back to football for 2 years, and football is my favorite sport, so please consider to let us do middle school football. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Hunter. Okay, next up, Lori Washburn.
It's not off, it's not.
Not an agenda item. Okay, so we'll just leave it to the next one.
That's good.
Okay. Next up, Eric Curtis.
Good evening. I'd like to thank Ms. Simmons for her time on the board and welcome Mr. Smeltzer as well. Thank you for your time to serve. I also noticed on the minutes the past couple of months, they're not very specific on detail. It's like we've lost some detail. I don't know why that is. In some areas, I noticed on the community input part, it just says a community member and a teacher spoke. I don't even know what that even means. We need to do better. That's not okay. That's not transparent. That's not acceptable in my book. If you go back, if something happens and we have to go back a few months and then they're like, well, what month was that? How are you going to find it? A teacher spoke? What did they speak about? What was their issue? What was the topic? The other one on the agenda, I don't know if this is a legal thing. The fact that it under number 11B, GAEA complaint, what's the complaint about? Why is it not listed? So again, if we want to be open, honest, and transparent, then let's be open, honest, and transparent. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Okay. Sorry, glasses. Next up under reports is C, primary school celebration. Sean, is that you?
That's me. Yeah, so if Mr. Ball and Mr. Russell come up here.
Give it up to Mr. Bowman.
I wanted to do a couple things for tonight. So Mr. Russell and Mr. Ball will have their part here, but one of the best things that we've seen so far with data is Mrs. Ludlow sent me this the other day from NWEA. So that is a national test that everybody can take across the country. And it shows us that we have 57% of our third graders had growth in NWEA for reading. That was at or above our 80th percentile. So that's pretty amazing. And then it also takes a look at the bottom one, which is it just shows you kind of where we are in terms of everything, in terms of percentile and median, where we fall. And then the reason why I showed you that today, the best part about that is why are we showing you data? We show, usually your celebrations, we're showing all these different things, all these different awesome activities that we're doing. I chose this data because 3 years ago, we had COVID, and what happened, we hired Teresa King. We were able to hire Leslie McCall through our grant. And we took a look at our systems and what we had in place and how we needed to catch our kids up. And what we know from that data is that the systems we have in place are working. And they're not, we didn't say we're catching kids up quickly, right away where they're at benchmark, but you can tell by this previous slide the growth that our kids have shown. So our third grade growth that we have, those kiddos going into fourth grade, and what they've shown is pretty amazing in terms of where they started back in kindergarten. So that's an awesome thing that we've got, and I just wanted to draw to your attention that the intervention systems that we put in place are working. And we continue to tweak, we continue to look at data, we continue to look and see how we're servicing our kids each and every day, but they're working. So I thought that was just an awesome thing to show you guys. The next part that we're really excited, well, there's my system slide, sorry. Just shows you that what we're doing is working. The best practices in terms of what we're using, the curriculum-wise, and how we're teaching it is actually doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Sean, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
So our current third graders, were they in kindergarten when COVID?
You're asking me
Yeah.
to do math.
Fourth grade.
So they're in 4th grade now. So their current second graders would have been having that preschool opportunity
Okay.
that missed. Is that right?
Yes.
And then kindergarten would be 3rd grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. And the next part is I'm super excited about Mr. Russell and all the things that he's done over the last couple of years with his role as not only the librarian but now as the family advocate. One of the best things that's happened so far, I'm going to let Mr. Russell take over and tell you about the First Day Shoe Fund that he had an opportunity to be part of this year.
Well, most of you know we did 170 shoes last year. This year we did 239. We've got 486 in the primary school. So essentially, that comes to 49.7% of our student body in this school. I'm going to round it up because 50 sounds better. Got a free pair of shoes this year, and it was fantastic. Tower Pinkster was our sponsor. They obviously helped with our addition. They had 8 people come in. They fit all the kids. They were very, very good with the kids, and everybody was super happy. We gave another 39, I think it was 39 pair to the middle school for 5th grade. So in essence, we gave away almost 280 pair of shoes this year, which I think is fabulous, and we're going to do it again in the spring. So everybody was super happy, and I'm proud to say that we only had 4 exchanges, which is big time for me.
Yep. I think one of the best parts that he's being a little humble with is the person, Maggie, who's in charge of all of it throughout the county, actually called and was kind of mad, a little upset. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? There's too many kids. Jeff he wasn't promoting anything. These were just people who just showed up and signed up to get shoes. And once we explained that to her, she was like, she just didn't understand the need that our community had for such an event that was happening. And as soon as Jeff explained it to her, she was like, okay, how many more you need? How many more do you need? What else can we do? So Jeff did an awesome job with that. And then Jeff, go ahead.
The can closet. Clothing and necessities. This is something I wanted to start for a year or so. And we got it started this year. I got a donation of $500 to get it up off the ground. And I thought it would be important, but I didn't know that it would be so popular right away. I'm almost barren in that closet. We have school supplies. I got snow pants. I got heavy gloves. I have hygiene products, washing liquid, laundry soap, dryer sheets, snacks for the kids if they don't have a snack to come in. I mean, it's really taken off, and it's been fabulous. And it's in the back of the library. We're getting some signage made for it. And right now, like I said, self-service announcement. If anybody would like to contribute, I'm taking all sorts of donations. We'd love to have it, but it's turned into, I actually had a parent name it. The parent who gave me the donation that's anonymous actually named the closet for me, and it's been wonderful. And the parents have been very receptive to what we have. So we've sent a lot of stuff home.
So then parents come in there and get stuff too?
They call me,
Okay.
or they email me, and I give the order either ready to the office for them to pick up, or the kids shove it in their backpacks and they take it home.
Gloves and snow pants. Does that have to be new, or are you looking for gently used?
I will take anything anybody wants to donate.
Okay.
So what we probably would do is take the new ones and put them in that closet, and take the gently used ones. As soon as snow happens, this area over here, we put little zip ties on, and this is emptied and brought back every single day with kids who need hats, gloves, snow pants.
The other thing is I don't care who calls. There's no background check or salary check or any. It's just you call, you get it. I'll pack it up and away we go.
That's the question, right? Is this kind of like what they did with the middle school, where it's like protecting their self-esteem as well? So it's
Yes and no. I don't have the clothes the middle school has. I have more of the shampoo, the toothbrushes, the toothpaste, the daily stuff that they use. But yes,
And our kids don't necessarily.
I have
send us to
underwear,
Russell
I have
shampoo or whatever.
ankle socks.
okay.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
And when he means Baron, basically in 2 weeks the closet was empty.
Wow.
So that's how fast. Everybody knows the economy right now, but that's how fast this closet went. And then Jeff, in a couple of weeks, we're going to be when are we starting up the backpacks, food?
I'm just waiting. The gentleman who's pledged me the money had shoulder surgery, and I'm hoping to get that check either late this week or the beginning of next week, and then I will start power packs. And we've got 51 kids that we're getting boots and coats for on November 1st.
Thank you.
And the book fair.
And the book.
And the book fair.
Can you remind us of what's in that backpack that goes home with kids or?
The food?
The food. It's items for the weekend that provides them with extra nutrition. I usually do 2 lunches, 2 breakfasts, and then some treats.
That's awesome.
And it's usually things that all the kids can do by themselves. They don't need necessarily help.
That's good.
Microwavable stuff.
The next part here is Mr. Ball. So before I let Mr. Ball speak on what he's been doing, I just want to thank you guys for allowing us to have a dean at the primary school. I don't know as if we would be surviving right now without Mr. Ball's support and help. About 500 kids in the building, and we don't sit down ever. Mr. Ball has allowed Mr. Russell and I to actually do some of our own jobs. But he has been such a great advocate for kids, advocate for teachers, and I just wanted him to be up here and tell you a little bit about what he does during the day.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the time. I appreciate it. Transitioning from the classroom teacher, formerly kindergarten, into the dean role has been an interesting one, but one that I think speaks a little more closely to my heart, formerly working as the director of the YMCA camp and working with a multitude of kids. So there's a picture up here that I didn't know Mr. Sportel snapped, and it was addressing our 4th grade friends who just needed a bit of a reminder, typically around playground recess, being kind and things like that, and being able to dive in and really talk about what our Rams expectations mean, specifically for how we treat each other and what we want to try and succeed together as a grade level. But it's really been my pleasure and my honor to be able to continue to build relationships. That's my biggest thing, working with kids, and I would say it's probably my biggest strength. I was an okay teacher, but I was really good at building those relationships. I walked through the building, loved getting hugs from everybody, and I've gotten to know so many more kids who I didn't have the pleasure of teaching. I get radio calls all the time asking for somebody to sit down and talk with. It's been really great to hear those frustrations and also to learn more about the students and where they're coming from and how I can help. And then the same goes for our teachers. And our teachers are incredible and they are amazing, and they have the hardest job in the world. Nobody can touch what they do. Nobody can touch the amount of time and effort that they have to put in. Nobody can touch the fact that they have to be on 24/7, bathroom has to wait, feeding yourself has to wait. I have to take care of 21, 22, 23, 24 all at once. So everything that I can do for them, bottom being probably the most important, the caffeine support, delivering coffee as needed, has been a pleasure to be able to support them, see the great work that they've done, also to learn from them. I was just in the classroom and I'm seeing so many great things that they do with the interventions in those systems, as well as the strategies and methodologies they use in their classroom. So if I ever end up back in the classroom, I have some new ideas I can take from me as well. But it's been fantastic being able to work with all of the students at this level, and I can't wait to continue supporting them, advocating for them, being a squeaky wheel as needed sometimes to get them what they need and continue to best serve GA primary and GA community schools.
He says that about the picture because it kind of looks like this girl's in trouble. She's not.
She was sitting like this in her seat, nice and comfortable.
He's doing a whole Rams lesson for the entire class. Any questions? That is all for our celebration.
Thank you, guys.
I do just have a couple of quick comments, sorry. To all three of you and really to the primary school, thank you so much for all that you are doing to help teach, help the staff, help the students with whatever needs they may have. I know, Mr. Russell, there's so much that you have done to help the students at this school, so many things you've implemented and put in place. And trust me, I know that makes a huge difference in their lives and their family's life, so thank you. Mr. Ball, thank you for taking on the new role. I'm equally sure that, you are in the classrooms helping students, getting them what they need. So I appreciate that. And of course, Sean, who's always doing an amazing job. And the data shows, yes, we obviously aren't going to jump to 100% overnight, but seeing growth in that steady increase is so important. So thank you very much. Now, next up under reports is D, the curriculum and instruction report.
Good evening. So how do I go after that? That was amazing. Mine is not as exciting and thrilling. So there were just a couple of updates that I provided with you to you in the board report, one of them being around the multilingual audit. So there were 5 counties that were in the process of an on-site review, they call it, to look at how we support our multilingual learners. This year we have 11. We've doubled the amount of students that we're serving from last year. And there's an expectation from MDE, because Kalamazoo County is a refuge space for families, that we'll see that number continue to grow. Since that audit took place, we sent a paraprofessional from each building to receive some training on how to best support multilingual learners. We're in the process of getting those supports in place. Olivia Fox, I just have to go on the record to saying, as a first grade teacher and going through an audit process, she has been so important. She's our EL director. She's the only person in the district that is TESOL certified. So we've been working alongside each other to provide those supports, and she's going to be providing some training to teachers so that they can best support multilingual learners in the classroom, because they're with them most of the day. So that was one thing I wanted to update you on. A little bit with intervention. Interventions are up and running. This is our second year using common benchmark assessment of Acadience. It's gone much better than it did last year. We knew going into doing that at the middle school there were going to be some kinks and things that we needed to work out. Interventions are up and running. We've been working really solidly with Amy's been so supportive and just a leader in addressing concerns and getting teachers what they need. We're piloting another intervention that's been used in Portage and in Parchment to really provide support to our students that are still struggling to learn how to read. So I know that when we did our data presentation last spring, there was a lot of concern about that subgroup of like 7th and 8th grade. How do we better prepare them to enter the high school classroom? So we do believe that installing those systems K-8 is really going to help out the high school and all the great things that they're doing. I think the other thing I wanted to share was around instructional rounds. So I kind of gave you a little snapshot that those are based off of Harvard Medical Rounds. The primary's been doing instructional rounds for about 5 years. We sent a team to Comstock a couple of weeks ago, and we are going to start that rounds process this year in our middle and in our high school. And so it's just a great way for teachers to get into the classrooms of one another and just really learn from each other. And our district goal is around how to create more collaborative conversation between kids, because we know the more kids are talking about content and higher order thinking, that they're really learning more than just sitting passively. And then in that update, I just included all of the professional learning that we've been providing through our K-RESA coaches. We've had great partnerships with Climax Scots. They've included us in their science training along with Parchment, and just a lot of great things happening. Teachers working really hard, but we feel like we're providing some PD that's really specific in their content areas. So, and that's pretty much it. Yep.
Thank you, Teresa. And next up under reports is E, the fall count.
So there isn't a lot of new information here. It's been pretty consistent with what I've shared based on the work Jane's been doing along with the buildings. But I did want to put it in some perspective for you. So what you have in front of you is really just the last three counts. Fall of 2022, last spring, 23, and then what Jane just submitted for an audit, so this fall of 2023. So I did some of the work for you, which is if you look in kind of the pinkish color, what that means if you look at spring 2023, we had 79 kindergartners, and now in the fall we had 82. So that's a positive, number. It's going up, and so you can look down. K, we never know, right? So we can't really compare that. But from grades 1 through 6, we are up in those numbers in each of those classrooms. And Sean, remind me, 95 in third grade. This is the highest, 24, 24, 24, or 23, 23?
24.
24 for 4 teachers. That's a big deal. I don't know if you remember, Diana, it's been a while since we've had class sizes that big. So pretty excited, and we know we have some big class sizes that move through. And then you can see, grades 7 through 10, there's some attrition. We know that we have some transient families who sometimes have to go elsewhere looking for housing. Unfortunately, our communities don't have a lot of reduced housing. And so sometimes that happens. We also will be getting you more information with regard to where students went this spring. Our staff had their secretaries call, plus we get the forms for school of choice are released. And so really, when you go down, the only other thing I want to point out is where you see the alternative high school, where it's 14. I want you to, just going to go back to what Lindsay's request was for the virtual academy. We have 3 students in there, but we don't get full FTE because we pay the program, pretty much to do the organization, et cetera. So I think we get, we get this wrong, 35%? 32. So 32.3 is almost 1 FTE. Okay, I just want to make note of that. So if you look down, while it's an increase of 4.54 from the spring, right, at 978.32, you've got to subtract those 3 kiddos and kind of add 1 back. So essentially we are up 2.5 students. And that increase is for per pupil funding from what we budgeted. So we had budgeted 974 last year, which was our blended account for last year. So we projected even, and we're up 2.5 kids. If you'll just go up to the right, where you see the primary school, middle school, high school, you can see where they've been specifically. What I'll note about the high school is they are down by 11.5 students. Also note that we did have a larger graduating class. But the other is that middle school's pretty much steady. They kind of are up and they kind of are down, but just by a couple kids. But look at our primary school, up by 28 kids plus. I think that speaks volumes, not only for the work that they're doing, but also I think the fact that people are really sharing their stories about what's happening, and we appreciate parents and the families and the students, and of course the likes of those who presented tonight. So that is where we are. The good news is if you look from fall to now, we're steadily going up. And again, I think Philip will talk to us when we do our updated budget about blended count and how that's working, because there is some new legislation out there. But so that's what I wanted to share. We're pretty much right on track, which is a whole lot better than going back, which is terrific. As you know, the state increased our funding per pupil, so it was what we had projected, but all a good thing. Any questions? Good, thanks.
Next up under reports is F, the band update. So before we get to press box or the old field, I do want to assure you that we had a meeting last Thursday. It's our owners, architect, construction manager, to talk about the turf and some possibilities of why it's still not draining as fast as it should. So you can bet that Frank and I are on, right? We have another meeting next week, but I know Dean is already contacting the turf company to come out and take a look. One of the things we found is that, that torrential downpour did cause some of the turf to kind of float. So we want to make sure, we want to get a perspective from them about that. I know that this weekend we had a smaller rain, but Ben had texted me with some pictures. And so they've got a couple of ideas, but they have to be explored. And at the end of the day, it's the contractor's job, right, to make this work. And that's, so yeah, it's unfortunate, but we're going to keep at it. And then the other is, I mentioned to you about the press box, that there was a request to consider naming it after Byron Cox. It's not a decision we have to make now. We can do some kind of dedication in the future, should that be something that the board wants to consider. I know that there's someone in this room who can give us some information about Mr. Cox. And if you recall, he was also one of our outstanding alumni last spring. So I'm not going to come up with a number. I was kind of bad on that. How many years did you call games in the press box? How much?
30 plus.
30 plus years. So obviously there's a legacy, and obviously there'll be a future, but it is something that has been requested for us to consider. Then talk about the old field. One of the things that when we started this whole facilities and we talked about being able to build a new field, at that point in time, we of course assumed it would be grass. And so the conversation way back when, in fact it happened in this room, some of you might remember being here, was what do we do with the old field? And we talked about it being able to become a youth field. Now that we have turf and the number of teams on it is not really consequential. There's upkeep, of course, with black rubber pellets, but nothing like it would have been had it been grass. The conversation is letting youth play their games there as well. They'd still need their practice field. Haven't had that conversation whether it would be where they are now. The value is that there are some money, there's some savings if we do, change the use of the facility. There's also some stuff that needs to come down to be more safe. I can't remember if it was one of you or maybe it was you, Jessica, who mentioned, if you have a grandma or grandpa who's coming to youth football, right, and they are in a wheelchair and we're using the old facility, they're still in the same situation that they used to be.
And of course, when we're thinking about communities, other communities coming in when they play against youth, whether it's soccer, it could be different things. What do we want them to see? What do we want to have their group also participate in? So I want you to think about the old field. Philip and Frank and I just started that conversation. We're going to do a walk around out there also with Pine Rolling Tower. They've been in this situation before with other districts. We're going to seek out their ideas as well. So any questions on that's as far as we've gotten so far. But there are some maintenance dollars to be had by turning off the water and the electricity and not having to mow it, etc. So just think about that. No decision, but be interested in your ideas.
I'm curious, did you have a chance to talk to Tower Petra about any ideas that we would be able to do with the property that's now Maxwell Field?
I brought it up at last Thursday. We had a lot to cover, so I said, can that be a part of our next week's discussion? Because they all mentioned that yes, they've all been in places where the older field, was not used anymore. And like I said, we wanted to take a look out there, walk around, and see what we have.
I'm really curious what they come up with, because they have the experience. I don't have any grand ideas. I know that we've had issues with the bus garage a little bit, so I would entertain doing something different there, possibly. I, for one, do not think our youth should play on the old field. I had to go sit on the visitor side to watch my nephew play at Dalton, and it's really nasty over there, like swamp water all over the bleachers. And when I was in the stands, somebody was like, "Oh, I have to go to the bathroom. I don't want to go use the bathroom." And then when we had the privilege of playing on the new field, I think somebody commented about, Ben was like, "Hey, have you seen the new bathrooms yet?" And we're all trained not to go to the bathroom at a football game. So everybody's like, "No, I don't have to go to the bathroom." But I think we're in a unique situation where we have the opportunity to have two fields, but everybody else is forced to have their youth teams play on their new turf fields, and I think we should. That's how you get families to come to our community, is them step foot on it and be like, "Wow, this is really nice," because our field is a lot nicer than Green Belton's and some of the other turf fields around, and I want to show it off. So I would be very against playing rocket football games at the old fields. Not to mention, I think the program ran into some issues that they hadn't thought about, like concession stands and things like that. And I would worry about the upkeep of the old field, and I think it would be something fun and exciting to see what we could actually do with that property to make it useful.
I have to say I appreciate your perspective too. So with the handicap side, I think whoever does still have grandparents or anyone that needs ADA compliant items, and so having that ramp is absolutely amazing. And people that not even a walker but just a cane, utilizing that, it was wonderful and so much safer and less falls and so many more handrails, and they definitely appreciated it. It was nice.
Just to piggyback on what they're saying, I'm all for it too. I mean, it took us over 20 years to get this field approved. Let the community use it. That's my take. But alternatively, I would like us to think about our parking situation now. Now that we are hosting games at home, and we have rocket going, and we have volleyball going, we were, side chats. You and I have already, Wendy, been talking about the overflow into the handicap spots and people parking on the grass. I would like to see how we're gonna move around that going
on a
forward.
weekend, or
That's a weekday.
so
you're gonna have
like practice.
Rockets practicing. JV will be having a game on Thursday nights potentially, and then we got volleyball competing inside. We are very, very short on parking, so that's my only concern going forward.
Well, we possibly could have a practice at the old field and we do something different with it.
Well, we're
Solve
done with
that
the season.
problem.
I think there is still some interest in Rocket utilizing that field. If we can figure out a way, the kind of logistics to make that work, or that's beneficial for everybody. I'm not necessarily saying play every game there, but
No.
Utilize the field for perhaps practices. But I think that there's definitely an opportunity to sit down with some of the Rocket members and have a conversation what would work best. So
I definitely want to see him play on the field.
and Frank, yeah. And I will say though, I was at the field this weekend opening it up, and the Mattawan team was the first one as we opened the gates, and it was really cool because as there were 20 Mattawan kids there, and as they walked through the gate, they all looked at the field, go, "Oh man, this is so nice!" Or like, "This is way better than our field." "Oh, look at the track. There's no cracks in it," because we were at Mattawan and they had some pretty big cracks in our track. Anyway, so that was pretty neat, especially coming from Mattawan kids. So.
Yeah. What do you need to practice? Just like a goalpost? Not even? So just grass?
Yeah.
That's a different discussion for a different day.
I just wanted that to be on the.
Well, I mean, we are talking about it now.
I am.
What I will share, kind of what I think is I think a group needs to be put together along with Howard Kingster, Frank, Rocket, different things, what the pros and cons are to kind of both places, or what maybe, the field at the primary can be used for, what might be beneficial for it to be used for, depending on, how much money we really want to put into that, or how even the primary students might be able to utilize that better. I don't know. I think there's a lot of options. I think I haven't come up with any real thoughts or ideas yet, just because I'm not really an expert, and I'd like to see what pros and cons are and have kind of all that information. So I think it is important we start looking at that.
Does anybody have any thoughts on the press box?
I'm on board. And I don't see name.
The new press box or
You're talking about the name.
the renaming?
Oh, I'm all for it. Yeah, all for it.
We'll just name it, right? It doesn't have a name now. Well, I will say, I don't know, what year did Byron quit announcing, do you know?
It's the year Johnny graduated.
My Johnny?
My Johnny. Pettigrew.
Oh, I was like, I don't know who
I'd have
Byron
to go back to.
So I mean, there's people that are in the audience right now, on the board right now, that know who Byron Cox is, have met him. So I mean, I think that would be a nice gesture. I mean,
I know that we have a couple more superintendent board meeting get-togethers, right? Breakfast, lunch, or dinner, so maybe that can be a topic just to give me your thoughts. Would that be okay? Okay, and next up under reports is G, update on new buses, which was supposed to be Philip, but unfortunately he couldn't be here tonight, so we will add that on, to the cow and discuss it there. Yeah. Next up is 8 business items for discussion. A, the monthly budget discussion, which is Philip, which will Mentioned that just, wasn't a lot changed or nothing to note, but if you have questions, I could take them back.
Yeah, we all got an update in our board packet, and there wasn't a lot of changes that were added or things that were different. So next up under 8 is business items for discussion, reproductive health, Lindsay Neal.
Lindsay and Teresa.
Yeah.
Just hanging out by the cold air.
I'm just going to ask a quick question. Does everybody on the board, do you think you have, you can ask some questions tonight, but you've got the information and enough?
This is very thorough. Yeah.
Hi.
One question, Diana, you had asked was, and there was a lot of great information, Lindsay, but can you go over a little bit of the costs in terms of what were the things that you will need purchased?
Sure.
I know you shared a couple, I'm calling them kits. I can't remember what you call them. But
Sure.
some questions about that.
So, I proposed that we purchase some anatomy models to better assist not just with anatomy but also with condom use. So I've worked with a variety of different anatomy models, and they sell them in kits. So instead of buying individual models, you can buy an entire kit, and it comes with curriculum, and it comes with a lot of extras. Oftentimes it's cheaper to buy them individually and buy them as they fit into the curriculum and as we need them. I've worked before where people have overbought and things just sit on the shelf and they're very expensive. And because we're going from no anatomy models, it might be good to slowly introduce and see how they fit into lessons and curriculum and how they're received, etc. So, yeah, I proposed a couple different ways to do it. I researched a couple that are accessible on Amazon, relatively cheap. We can even return them if we need to. It's a weird conversation to have with people, but and then there's more standard ones. So it's really based on what you're comfortable with bringing in. I can work with anything. So what's that? So the male anatomy on its own was $136. The kit as a whole is just under $700.
Is that what you showed us, was the kit?
So I brought in just a male anatomy that I actually borrowed from my school district prior to working here. That one is about 14 years old. So they do hold up well over time, and everything was kind of hanging right in there. Yeah. So the way that I teach, I don't think we need more than one of anything happening at a time. As I broke it down, I prefer to teach that section in small groups as students are comfortable with it, one-on-one, giving kids kind of a better option to ask questions, practice, and just feel comfortable. So for me, I don't need one for everybody. Just one, and small group work is best, I feel. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Yeah, and it was my question because I saw like the total curriculum cost
Yeah.
like $400.
Sure.
And I'm just like, wow, I was thinking it was more
Right.
than that. So I'm like, so what will it include or not?
Right. I put in several different options, however you want to do it, so that you feel comfortable with it, with spending money on that. And it's something that we can use and collect feedback, collect data on, and then add to over time if it's effective. Okay? Yeah?
Thank you. Your packet that you put together with us was very informative.
Wonderful.
Great job explaining it.
Great. There's never enough time to get through everything, so I wanted to make sure that you had everything to take home and kind of look over. And also, it's a lot of information.
It's a lot of uncomfortable information, and it's a lot
Yeah.
of information in general. And I appreciate how well you articulated it and how well you did present it to where we felt comfortable as well.
Thank you.
Because it is a touchy subject.
It is sensitive, yeah.
Definitely are the right person to teach it. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm excited about it. Like I said, I feel passionately. I feel like it is a gift to be able to equip kids with knowledge that they're going to use for the rest of their lives. And, my kid is in this district, so it's important to me to have an opportunity to steer the ship and just collaborate. Yeah.
I think just a couple of important things to note. I did go through all of the links that you sent and everything. Because
Amazing.
This is a curriculum that, brings about a lot of attention. So I think it is important That as a board member, I know what is in there, what's going to be taught. I think that's very important. I think there was a lot of really great information. I think it's naive of us at times to think that parents are teaching the things that are needed at times, so that's where the curriculum is important to be taught. I think it's important for people to know that, you know, they can still opt out. That is an option. So it's not something that everybody has to take, but I think the curriculum you, Teresa, put together, I think it was very, very good. And a lot of really great information. So thank you.
Wonderful. And my goal is to be as transparent with it as possible, prepared in advance, so that we have parents, if they do feel like they want to opt out, they don't have to opt out fully. You know, that's very important to me, because having that in-class experience really does make a huge difference, both learning and teaching.
Yes, I definitely enjoy like the option where you can have each section and the parents can see ahead of time what is being taught, and if they don't want that individualized item taught to their child, to opt out of one thing versus the whole learning lesson. So I appreciate it as well.
Creating a Google Classroom for parents so that curriculum is available, but it's not available for students to necessarily look at on their own. I think that's going to be a huge win if we can get it going.
Keeping everybody together on the same page.
Thank you. Yeah. All right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Okay. So next up, 9 is closed session for attorney-client privilege, consistent with 8.1H. Because there's a lot of people here in the audience, it might be easier for us as the board to step out and come back, so you can stay in here if you'd like. Is the board good with that?
Yeah.
All right. So I have a motion to go into closed session.
Thank you. I'll support.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? And so we will start closed session at 7:35. Okay, and we're back in open session at 8:55 p.m. Jessica, could you clarify your motion to go into closed session for the purpose of attorney-client privilege pursuant to 81H of the Open Meetings Act?
I can.
Okay. And Laura, would you second that?
I accept the amended motion.
Okay, next up is 10, communications, public participation. I'll start. Lori Washburn, did you want to speak? We'll start with you.
My name is Lori Washburn. I have a son who is a senior, and all my kids have gone through Galesburg. I just was wondering why the board meeting from last month was not on YouTube. It's been, I think, for the last year and a half. You can go back and see them all. Wendy, I know that you have said some things that are just absolutely untrue about some people that have left. And I just want you to know that it feels like you're really trying to create what you want people to see and cover up things you don't. So I just want you to know that when you do things that you might think are shining a light on what you want us to see and not, it really just sends more distrust. And I'm really, when people come to me, I'm just saying, go to the meetings, go to the meetings, go to the meetings. You don't need to know what I think. Nobody cares what I think. If you did, I would still be here. But I think it's really important for you to know that what you're trying to do is maybe counterproductive, because when you hide things and put things under the rug and switch the narrative and say it's this and don't say this and say it's this, but it's not that. And the stadium is really pretty, but anything built on unstable ground will never be strong. And I love Galesburg, and I love our kids, and I think our kids deserve the truth. And I know a lot of you have heard a lot of things, and I don't know what you do with it. I used to think you didn't know, but now I know you know. And I know that you're choosing to look the other way. And I just want you to know that the truth will always come out. And we can put lipstick on a pig, but it's lipstick on a pig. We have to be honest, and we have to put things out for how they are. And when you put white a sepulcher and make it look all shiny pretty and don't address things or misrepresent things, the truth will eventually come out, and we're building distrust. Thank you.
Next up is Crystal Hubbard, and thank you, Lori.
So I didn't come here planning on speaking, but after Harper spoke, I felt like maybe I should elaborate on the situation we got going on in the Rocket program. I know Ben's on the board, but currently at the 7th, 8th level, we only had a few teams to play this year. Our 7th, 8th, unfortunately, had a bye because we didn't have enough teams to play. And of the teams that we did have to play, they've all but one, and us, have decided to go to a middle school program. So by doing this, it means that our 7th and 8th grade team will not have a program to play next year. If we can't get the school to pick up the 7th and 8th grade as a middle school program, then we lose those 7th and 8th graders. And from being on the board, I've been on the board since 2016, and I've watched these kids at the flag level grow up. And a lot of these kids, especially at the 7th, 8th grade level, the 2 hours they have at practice is the only piece they get all day long. Their home life isn't the best situation. Football, especially at the young level, is so much more than just football. And I'd hate to see the 7th and 8th grade program dissolve, because it'll also dissolve our varsity program if we can't continue to feed these kids into football. And I think that if the Rocket program and the school board combine, that we can really we can build the funding for this. I don't think that funding should be a pause for us to be able to pick these kids up. Between Rocket and the school board and these 7th and 8th grade parents, I really think that we can make this happen, and pretty quickly. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. And next up, Kim Jankowski.
I have two separate but related items. One is short-term, one is long-term. One short-term, the agenda isn't really clear on what your decision is going to be after public comment. If it's a decision on whether or not there was a policy violation, or if it's a decision on whether or not you're willing to meet with the complainant, which is our Galesburg-Augusta Education Association. We ask for you. It should always, in my opinion, be the case that anybody who has a complaint is able to actually have a conversation with the board about that, and not just go on what you're being told is the outcome of the meetings that we have along the way. And second would be a long-term change in board policy so that there is a way to have those conversations with the board. It's difficult to tell somebody, if you think that, what if it's a harassment kind of thing that doesn't necessarily fall under the protected classes and stuff and won't fall under that. If we were having a problem with an administrator, the way the board policy reads now, we would be forced to have a conversation with the administrator that could possibly be harassing somebody before we're able to bring anything to the board. And then we have to rely on the board president to decide that our complaint is worthy before we're able to bring up anything. And right now, all you're able to hear is what we could fit on a piece of paper and what you're being told happened as a result of meetings, and you have no way of knowing if what you're being told is accurate or not. We should have a voice if a complaint is brought, no matter who that complainant is. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, next up is 11 business items for decision. A is reproductive health. Okay, board, you have in front of you a board action request for reproductive health and family planning. Could I have a motion, please?
I would make a motion to approve the changes in reproductive health curriculum as presented.
I'll second.
Board, any discussion?
I was just very impressed with what was presented to us and making sure we knew the ins and outs and what was going to happen with these funds. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. Yes, lots of information, very detailed, and truly appreciate that. Laura, roll call vote, please.
Overgard.
Yes.
Shoup.
Yes.
Eberstein.
Yes.
Wilkes.
Yes.
Corsi.
Yes.
Smelter.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Okay, next up under business items for decision is the GAEA complaint. Could I have a motion, please?
This is long. I have a proposed resolution for the board's consideration. Whereas, in a complaint dated January 30th, 2023, the Galesburg-Augusta, June 30th, 2023, the Galesburg-Augusta Education Association alleged that the superintendent violated policy 9130 in removing the book Gender Queer from the high school library. Consistent with the board's complaint process, the association leadership met with the high school principal on August 7th, 2023, and met with the superintendent on September 11th, 2023. The association requested board review of its complaint. The board has thoroughly reviewed the association's complaint. Now, therefore, be it resolved, there is no issue of material fact that needs to be addressed by a hearing on the association's complaint. The association's requested relief that another review committee be formed before another vote by the committee and then by the board. The board denies the association's requested relief that another committee be formed before another vote by the committee and then by the board. The board secretary is directed to provide the association with written notice of the board's decision. That is my motion.
I'll support.
Board, any discussion?
I would like to speak on behalf of the board, to go through the. I would like to speak on behalf of the board, the complaints and address them. So one, no written complaint. That is untrue. There were 3 written complaints. 2, the superintendent appointed the committee. This is form over substance. 3, the superintendent should not have voted. This is inaccurate. The superintendent can vote per Robert's Rules of Order.
And there's no legal wording to support that.
Right. 4, The committee's recommendation report went well beyond 10 days. True that it did go over 10 days based on the substance and the integrity of what we were looking at. We did take longer. It was over spring break, and we wanted to make sure that it was done right. We will be looking at this policy and 5 book removed before board action. This is true. The principal checked out the book. And then 6, the board removed the book because it was offensive to some. This is untrue. The motion that was made in the May 15, 2023 meeting stated that the reason for the book's removal, motion to remove the book genderqueer due to several explicit images.
And just a couple things I wanted to say, that the spirit of the policy was followed. There was request received or a complaint received. There was a committee formed. The committee made a recommendation. Then it was brought to the board, and the board did make or have a vote on that. And the book was removed. So, you know, every detail to the T, but the spirit of the policy and what that policy is put in place for, we felt that was followed. Any other discussion? Laura, roll call vote, please.
Beauregard?
Yes.
Shoup?
Yes.
Heberstein?
Yes.
Wilkes?
Yes.
Corsi?
Yes.
Smelter?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. And next up, could I have a motion to go into closed session for purpose of negotiations to pursue or pursuant to the Open Meetings Act?
I'll make a motion to go into negotiation, to go into closed session for negotiations under the Open Meetings Act.
I'll support.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so we'll go into closed session for negotiations 9:15. So coming out of closed session at 9:45 p.m. And then next up, 15 communications board comments. Welcome, Dave. That's why you're not.
Hey.
Happy to have you aboard.
Can you put her name in too?
Oh.
So I was going to make a comment regarding football. The Rocket program is very committed to helping equip the kids, and that is the bulk of that initial startup cost. So
It's almost 25 grand.
yeah.
But that's Gully. They're huge.
Well, so I mean, but if you look at like Parchment startup versus Gull Lakes, I think it ranges from 15 to 24. So, but like I said,
That's on the number of kids.
sure, yeah. But the reality is though, like our school needs it to move forward with the football program, and realistically, there are families that are going to look at that are going to want. I mean, we have 160 kids in our Rocket program. And there are families that are going to say, hey, I want to put my kid in a school where they're going to excel and be able to play football. So it's something I just think that we have to take a good look at and do what's best for the school and for the kids. You know? But there is a program committed in this community to offsetting that initial startup cost. So
When I talked with Mike and Jeff, they're putting all their, I just said, you got to write up the proposal, you got to have the numbers, et cetera. Couple of things that we have to decide about, even when the games can happen, because you're going to have games. Anyway, so there's some details that have to be worked out.
yeah.
So we used to have a middle school football team.
A lot of people did. So,
Right, and they got rid of it.
Yeah. And what Mike said to me, or us, the three of us, was also that, you know, coaches at the varsity level, you know, that's some good money if those people have been coaching for a while. He shared with them that my priority is middle school football. So if we have to find some places in the athletic budget, you know, then we find places in the athletic budget where
I think when you go
so my only reason to say that is that we're looking at like the financially most fiscal way to do this, which I appreciate from our two ladies. Right.
It has been manned by volunteers for years, though. I mean, so.
Yep. Well, you will not have me in opposition. I just am not going to make a recommendation to you without all facts.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah, I think we need factual numbers of what our student population looks like, but I also think a very important person to bring in on that conversation, I think Ben would agree, would be Crystal Hubbard. If you're gonna have any conversations, I'm just, make sure she's there, because I think she would have something to bring to the table for the school.
Sure. Yep. Yep. So Marasco is like the busiest man on earth. I was supposed to get the pink out and I didn't even make that. So I think we set a tentative date that maybe it was the cow in November. No, maybe it was the board meeting in November. They will come and present a proposal. So in the meantime, you know, I'm going to be working with them, with Crystal, and just kind of working through the details.
You said November.
I mean, if you're, I would
It's the next one.
have Crystal and John. John's the director.
I was gonna say Clint would be,
As far as getting the middle school
Well, how's the
ball coach, if you're going to bring them.
Yeah.
Crystal
yeah.
has the numbers though. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, it's like a package deal, Crystal needs to come, but her husband pays.
Any other board comments?
Maybe as a whole.
That's our
You
first
know what a
Monday.
cow is? Like a chicken and a cow.
You'll find out when you get there.
I wondered why they called it that too, I was like, really?
I would just say it was very nice to have a lot of support this weekend, even with horrible weather. And yes, in football obviously is the season right now. But even with it raining at our football game, there's so many people out there supporting them. And we ended as a undefeated 6-0 for my two boys. Ben's, yeah. So that was really cool. So a lot of people supporting that, so it was nice.
And some of those people were middle school teachers that cared enough about their kids that were willing to come out in the 40-degree rain
It
and
was
sit there and watch their kids
adorable.
play. So my son loved that.
Yeah.
It was really cool. Yeah.
Can I just say, obviously, the opening of our new field. Yes, it was great up until just before ribbon cutting time, but, you know, I mean, I still think, you know, there were a lot of people that were just so inspired by the stadium and loved that the bricks got in, so thank you very much to you all who did all that hard work, because I tell you, that really meant a lot to people coming up and seeing their bricks and looking through that. So I think that really meant a lot.
We enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was fun. It was, some people back to order more than others. Are they being relayed? I'm sorry, are they being like relayed the right way? Okay.
Yeah, that was just temporary.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
What do you mean the right way?
We had to get them in.
But you did
picture.
good.
Thank you.
I want to make sure that it's, wait, that's the, where'd my brick go? So, I might want to take pictures for them, make the right way that people are.
I think there's
I
two.
don't know if it'll get done this fall, or if we'll wait now for, because there are people ordering, that might be easier.
Yeah, we have gotten quite a few more orders.
Oh,
But I think technically in November you're not supposed to cement certain things. Yeah. So yeah.
I think there's two bricks that aren't supposed to be out there that weren't, so we should be talking about those.
Well, Nicole, if you do it this week,
Okay.
that is obvious.
Tomorrow, okay.
Yeah. I know we lost, Dale Martin's, but
Yeah.
he had what Audrey Quick had what printed, so it was there.
Yeah, Vicki said hers wasn't there, and I didn't see the class of 2023, but in all fair.
Yeah, that one was out there.
Okay, I wasn't looking for it, and then I was like,
We counted them, we had them all except one, so.
okay.
Yeah, they were all accounted for, except for that one.
So I know I'm looking forward to eventually maybe having band competitions on that field too. So I will say Saturday, Saturday, I went to Vicksburg's Invitational, so my niece plays for Portage Central.
We don't have a campus space for
We
it.
don't. Well, maybe eventually. I was just gonna say.
It would be fantastic.
Hang on, it
if you
rained
not
all
had a
day.
campus space to
It
put
rained
great
all
bands practicing.
day.
I wish we could.
It rained all day, and that field was still usable. And it was amazing.
Go Lakers.
So for them to march on that field, it's really cool.
I know, it depends, I think if we can get creative, then.
If you say
we got
We
two
don't have the
fields.
parking, we don't, especially the band space,
Yeah,
like,
that's eventually.
I thought
We
the
have the
stand
field
space.
for
We're,
it.
we're a size
Go up,
C,
go
D
down,
school,
go
Diana.
up, go down. No, because then your bands all come and join the stand so they can wait
They
until.
didn't
they're
at
on.
Vicksburg. None of them did.
Well,
Some places do.
which one did you come to? Did you come to
Just
the C
Saturday.
and D or did you come to the A and B?
I was at the
Because
end.
their time.
The second
So
half.
then the A and the B, so they do split them up, but like, it's.
I was there for like the second half. It was
Yeah,
good.
so
It was it was A's and double A.
Oh,
Or
there
the
was
big-
a B hat.
I was there for big things.
Okay, yeah,
That's
they,
insane.
yeah. Like, and they start early in the morning for those ones, because they start right with class B and go all the way up to the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Further discussion in the, so, then I'm just gonna do my last board comment. I tried to talk into everybody, and I thank you for, but, I am stepping down from board president, so that will be effective at the next meeting. So at the next meeting, we'll have to do an election for president and then going forward. So, yeah. Kind of a study. Thank you for your time as president.
Yes,
I appreciate you. Wonderful. And I'll make pictures.
Will you make an initial announcement at the next one so people actually hear it?
And then, next up, superintendent update. Oh, well, that's where I was gonna bring up the middle school, but we've talked about that one, so we won't talk about football anymore. The only thing is, Laura, you gave me a document, I think, right? About
Yes.
Meetings.
Yep.
Oh, here it is. So, it sounds like we're gonna try to, that maybe I have a Christy, Laura, breakfast, dinner, lunch.
Is this the 13th one?
Is it the 13th?
I did not get a confirmed date from
Okay.
both of you, so
13th.
nothing is scheduled.
Is it the 13th already gone?
Yes.
I wasn't
Sorry.
on the list. Today was super crazy.
That's
Everyone
okay.
was telling me to get on the list, so
Oh, all right, well, so
I think I can do it.
I've only met with Diana, she's right here. So thank
Only
you.
me?
It was a nice breakfast. Yep, it's the only one.
All I ask is that
It was good. I've never been there.
I think
If-
that's a Wednesday? What day of the week is that? Because we're going to be having
Oh,
the
it's
wrestling
Monday.
season and I don't know what's
It's a Monday.
Oh, Mondays are usually good.
if there is a date that you can do, I need you to email me.
We'll put her and Laura Wilkes on the 13th.
I need an email.
I'm doing it right now.
Thank you.
I'll email.
Thank you.
She's scolding us over there. I need an email.
Because it keeps me accountable and I can, and then I have things to reference back.
I get it.
So,
Okay,
It's
so
not
that
fair to
one
you.
is
We just see
Christy
it.
and
She responded.
I emailed probably Laura in the month.
First one that said it was
or if you want to quick text me, if that's easier in the moment. Policy meeting, 11/6. I know we were going to look at who's on which committee now, but Chris Rice can come, we can do it before the policy meeting.
But don't I have a foundation meeting on Monday?
This is a regular call meeting. She was just saying earlier.
I'm so lost.
It would be policy though, so that's Jessica and I, and then whoever else joins policy.
Nathan.
Whoever else joins it.
Well,
I would love
I
to
didn't
be
know if we
there.
were gonna shop around. So,
Nate, just an FYI, we usually put a new person on the policy committee just so you get aware of how to find policy, where it is.
So unless you're completely against it, that's.
You're not the one that got shorted, I'm not new.
She's going
fast.
I'm delighted. I wanted to read the whole thing anyway.
Yeah.
Wanted is the wrong word, but I needed to.
Enthused?
Okay, so we're going with the cow. What time did we need to do it at?
We're doing it before the cow?
Yep. 6:30.
I'm not doing it before 5:30.
5:30. 5, 6, 7. It's not that long.
What time is our cow's at 6:30?
Yeah.
So do it at 5:30.
5:30?
Yeah.
5:30 it is. Okay. And then. So then, we also need a superintendent evaluation committee meeting, so I just had Laura put down a bunch of dates.
Who's on that?
Yeah, but I think it's what's Kristen. Me, Ben, and Diana are on eval.
She was us.
Nobody's supposed to.
You know, we run 5:30.
I would appreciate it.
You're gonna be.
I'm on the finance committee. You're on the finance.
Or we can the three of us text each other or figure that out? Okay.
I just need dates so that I have a picture of those.
Okay. I still picture that. I like.
It's not really late for us.
Well, I don't care about the old version. I don't care. Unless you're gonna read.
Well, Krista's off.
Are you sure she's not on anymore?
She's not speaking. Stop,
We're digressing again. All right, so.
Can we do the committees? Can we do the
Have you
committees
read
at cow?
Okay. Listen.
Because we're gonna have to redo.
This is superintendent comment section.
No, I don't need something. I just didn't know where I was even.
We need a
That's what she
workshop.
said, we have to figure out who's president first.
Well, that's until next week, next time.
No, I know.
But right, then we'll redo the whole policy, or the whole committee.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because these things will change.
Exactly. Yep. So, some of them. Workshop for operating procedures. I checked with MESB. They have Scott Morrell, who's available to come into the district and do it with us. So, we have a cow committee of the whole on 12/4. What we could do is make that a workshop.
I would love to.
We could do dinner and then have him come in and help us, hopefully by the end, have a good beginning of an operating procedure.
I would love
Scott Morrell.
It's December 4th.
Yep.
Scott Morrell. We're doing a workshop that day.
Yep.
Can we move the time to like 6 at least? If not earlier? 5:30 would be great. 6 o'clock? Wherever you want to workshop. So are we moving it up then? 6 o'clock, is that what you're saying?
We are recording.
That's okay.
No, it's fine, I'm just laughing. We're all laughing.
It's okay. Okay, and that is what I need the most.
For 6
Laura and I